Welcome to the Redline Sales and Business Podcast, featuring co-presenters Ron, the Banksy of LinkedIn and founder at Javelin Content Management and Chief Marketing Officer at Ideas Exchange, and Shane, CEO and founder at Ideas Exchange. Each week we'll bring you advice, tips, and thoughts about sales, leadership, and share our experience on growing an effective business. Meet guests, enjoy the stories, and most importantly, have fun. This is Redline.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode 10. Shane, you promised me we're going to have a special guest for episode 10. Turns out it was you all along. It turns out it was you.
I'm always a special guest.
If you crawled through the other 9 episodes and you're still here, like, fantastic, but like, really need to get a life. No, seriously, thanks for sticking with us. 10 episodes. It's been fun.
We made it.
Loosely. So we're in that, what is it, like the top 3% of the podcasts now, that made it past 10 episodes. Brilliant.
That's how we do it.
I mean, in the meantime, like Shane's living in a garden, doesn't have a house anymore. He's just renting a fucking garden off someone.
This is how you look like a CEO. Just put a bit of gel in.
Oh, sorry, was I not supposed to tell everyone?
No. We're going to tell the world.
He must stand beside him. If you listen to this fact on the podcast, right, Shane's currently sat in a garden with a fence around him. What everybody can't see is off to the side of him, there's a flower bed that needs digging, and he's got a shovel there, and that's how he's paying his rent this week, is he's got to dig that flower garden out.
Let's show the office. This is the office today. It's a stool and here's my coffee and water. This is what you call makeshift remote office work. When they say it's hybrid, this is exactly what they mean.
Awesome. Well, like, if you're listening back to this on the audio on the podcast, do go along, have a look on the website, have a look on our YouTube page. This is really weird. I've got a really small office, so when I'm trying to position my microphone on my second camera, it's cocking everything up. So I'm just going to have it off to the side there so you can actually see me. Hopefully, it doesn't impact on the sound too much. Let me put it over there. There we go. Right.
It must be nice to have one of those microphones. Fancy pantsy.
Again, everything's in progress, right? So microphone that I did have was fantastic. But for whatever reason, there's an issue with the thread on it. I can't get it to attach to a stand, so I can't get it off my desk. My desk's only 3 foot wide, right? The best size is 3 foot wide, and I'm 2 foot of that. Real problems. If everybody who's listening to this, if you're from the UK, you'll remember when we were kids, we had the CBBC broom cupboard, Gordon the Golfer from Philip Schofield. Dare I mention his name? Philip Schofield, Gordon the Golfer. I am literally in the broom cupboard. My desk is like a little cutout in the spare room in the smallest bedroom in my house. One day I will have one of those really nice offices where I have a couch in there where I can bring people in, a beer cooler at the side, my own coffee machine in the office. This is real, right, Shane? This is real world.
You know what? I'll tell you the truth, mate. I honestly thought that it was only me who wanted the sofa. In the office. I think that's a really big thing. I really want I want the desk in the front. Ideal situation would be the desk, big desk, nice big chair. There's nothing on the desk except for my laptop, and maybe a 52-inch, one of those slimline monitors. And then, like a sofa in the stock with a nice, like one of those chic lights, those little lamps, that IKEA ones, 20 quid from IKEA. Nice little coffee table. And you just act like the Don Illuminati, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, goals, right? Goals. Well, the first thing you need to do, Shane, and like if you're listening along to this, you really do need to have a look on the YouTube and watch some of the videos back. I've told Shane today he needs to elevate his laptop a bit because I'm sick of looking up his nose when we're talking. So he's elevated a bit. Thank God, there he is again. Jeez, Shane,
well, I saved today, and I had the wax. I had the wax cotton buds. They pulled out the hair on my nose because I said my business partner's taking the piss.
Amazing. So there's a couple of things that we wanted to cover in this episode, and like in true spirit of things, we're probably going to record a couple of episodes back to back today because we've both got time to do it. Weather's nice. Yeah. Why not? Let's get some time in, get some episodes recorded. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of cover off in this episode was how things can quickly become a race to the bottom, and it's tempting to get involved in that conversation and end up involved in that. And I think you had a really valid point around your recent experiences and how it leads into that conversation.
Yeah.
So with a brief pause, because it's so unreal hot in the hot location where Shane is in southern England, Binfield. Let's start again. So for this episode, I wanted to get into something I've been going through and something I've been dealing with quite heavily in my new business, in terms of the temptation to become part of that race to the bottom in terms of how much money you're charging clients, and getting caught up in that shit race, which just involves you just lowering your costs and devaluing yourself to compete with the competition, as opposed to kind of standing out and delivering something that's unique. And I think when we were talking about that, Shane, you had some really valid points about your recent experience that kind of leads right into that. So do you want to cover off kind of where you've been recently and how that kind of links in? And then I'll pick up from my side of things what my concerns and worries have been overall, my side of things as well.
Yeah, so I think one of the about 3 or 4 episodes ago, I was in Morocco, and I was really excited about an opportunity that I'd just taken on with a private equity investor at a fairly reputable company that he's invested in. And my job was to go in there and help transform the sales operation through coaching, through process, through the right type of framework, so people are able to deliver on the promises they make to the business, and also in general what the business actually needs. Funnily enough, I got a text message from him yesterday because we actually fell out. So I won't actually mention his name, but I'd actually have an interesting thought to invite him on and get his own opinion on this podcast, knowing that we are feuding. But nevertheless, like I said, I went into this company to help them transform their sales operation. It didn't work out, which is some of the things that happen in these types of partnerships. It's absolutely fine. But before we parted ways in that partnership, we started to hit heads. We started to butt heads a lot. And one of the main things, or one of the main reasons why we butted heads so much, is because I'm a dominant character in my disc profile. He's a very dominant character in his disc profile. He has sold his previous business for $135 million. And me, I've built a startup that I believe was very successful. It went through ups and downs. It was not perfect, but we both have accolades that give us a measurement of who's got the biggest dick, if that makes sense. So when we're looking, building and transforming a company together, there's going to be a conflict of ideas. There's going to be an indifference of opinions. And what that led to was our separation and a number of disagreements on alignment of what we want to be doing. So now, as a result of that, I've finished that. I've opened up another opportunity with a previous client that I'm still working with. That's going well. I've been arrested in the past 2 weeks. I've been made homeless in the past 2 weeks. Effectively, I'm in Airbnbs, thankfully. I'm separated from my wife. I cannot see my kid. What else can we add to it? I'm a single dad now, going through one of the hardest times of my life. And the reason I'm sharing these things is to the audience that is in sales, in business. They do experience hardships. They do go through hard times. And some of them have probably been through these experiences before. And it's about having the resilience and the perspective to see the opportunity in dangerous moments, or in moments that are very challenging. So I could take a choice or a decision to be miserable and hold my tail in between my legs, or I could take advantage of the opportunity at hand, realize the mistakes I've made, as well as understand the learning experiences from working with that investor, and along with that investor being a business owner and going through peaks and troughs of cash flow, how my personal life and my personal challenges are able to be managed in an effective way because I have certain tools to manage them and push through, right? So it's a bit of context about the information. And like I said, I spoke to him yesterday and he said, I'd be interested to find out how you took on investors. You're not an investor. And what else did he say? But well, basically a lie anybody can lie about anything because it's just a rant. And I thought that was very funny. So I'll move into that piece. So a little bit of additional context about me. My profile states I'm an investor and CEO. And it's because I do invest my time, my resources, and I have invested money into business. I wouldn't say I'm an accredited investor, right? Just to lay it flat. Sales driven, made $1 million in sales revenue. Whether people want to challenge is that in the bag, completely different story. Ideas Exchange is a spin-off business that me and Paul and another business partner are running. And it's going to be an exclusive company for C-levels to network with each other. We explored a recruitment business and we did sell the members of that recruitment business to this investor, an undisclosed amount, but the amount of revenue that was generated is clear. So the points I'm going to make on today's podcast, the first ones, my personal life is going to be for a different episode and for something else that I have, but the initial concepts and points that we're going to be speaking about in this podcast are based on investors, business owners, CEOs, leaders that believe the old ways of doing things will work now. And I think one of the best things I've heard in the past 4 weeks was you saying to me, have a look at this book by, I think it was Marshall Goldman, or What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but this guy again, he fucked over me with trying to basically flog me for my payment. And then we had a big dispute. I got him to pay me. So if you're listening, you know what happened. And then second to that, he made verbal agreements to 2 people that he hired from me. And one of them, he fucked them over already. They've been working for him for less than a month. So he's already fucked them over too. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how things pan out. So like I said, those are the things that I want to speak about. And then we'll cover a few topics. So maybe you have some questions so I don't speak the whole time. But maybe you have the questions that can help us drive the conversation.
I think you're absolutely right, Shane. And I'm pleased you brought up what got you here won't get you there. Because that's what was going through my mind. And I know we talked about it offline, but it's exactly what was going through my mind when you were talking about the whole thing, to be honest.
Yep.
People who rise to the top, who are doers, what I call doers, who are pragmatic, proactive people who end up involved in entrepreneurship, building their own businesses, becoming very successful within big corporates even, are generally alpha males, alpha females, dominant personality types, domineering, and that lends well to them progressing through the chain of the business. They're very confident to get their ideas across. They're confident to haggle people who are in their way out of their way. They can convincingly express their ideas and narrate what it is that they're trying to say. And generally, they've got that top level strategy view. I don't have that really. I don't generally class myself as having that, and it's not my thing. But like that really top level visionary strategy that you can see 3 steps beyond anybody else. That's great, getting you to the top of the chain, or somewhere near the top of the chain. But what inevitably happens is once you're there, you get to a point, what Marshall Goldsmith calls the point of, what was it? The point of incompetence.
Point of no return? Oh, okay.
It's like the point of incompetence, right? You rise to the level which you go one level beyond your competence level if you're not careful. And you get to a level where you no longer have the skill set to be successful at the role you took on. And people tend to fail at that point. There are other people who are smart enough to get past even that point and get themselves right into that top spot and realize very quickly that they are now a leader that needs a very different skill set. They no longer need to progress up the chain. What they need to do is bring other people with them on the journey. And that is like night and day from what got them there in the first place. And that's why a lot of people use business coaches and personal coaches and life coaches, if you're smart when you get to that top level, to maintain that skill, to maintain what you need to do, you need to have a different skill set, totally different perspective. And it's really, really hard to do. Some people do it really well, but you've got to have that self-awareness. You've got to know that you're missing that skill set or be able to switch it on when it comes. And I think that's probably what you've come up against. But certainly that's what I see happens a lot when you get two domineering personalities that clash in the middle. It's that one or the other have moved past that point, but are unwilling to recognize that they need to have a different skill set or haven't figured out that skill set. And it's a work in progress. Nothing's perfect, right?
They need to have they need to be open-minded and be open to change. And I think that was one of the last conversations. That was what the breaking point in our relationship is the day before. I think it was the day before or 2 days before we ended the relationship. I had done, there was no direction, no instructions to do anything. They had some sort of project plan that they thought was going to work. But again, none of it was focused on the core frameworks or the core foundations that need to be addressed. And one of the questions that I asked this fella was, before I tell you my findings with the team and what I've analyzed in the business, are you willing to change? And he blew up. He was not happy with that question. What do you mean by that? Are you willing to change? Are you open to change? Are you open to changing your ways? You have a number of things that you want to do that I think worked in your old company, but your old company was a software development company and you are building software. You are trying to sell a software right now to a market that you do not have experience in. And you're also trying to sell to a market where you don't even know who the customer is. The dude had the audacity that this is, again, this is perspective. So the topic I'm going to cover right now is the importance of outbound. So you do not jump on the track and go through your race to the bottom. Okay. And again, this will absolutely drive results. It will drive the conversations internally or in your own mind about how to be successful at outbound. And the most important thing about being successful in outbound is knowing who your customer is. The entire business is built around your customer. And it's not to say it's an HR manager, that's it. No, that's false. That's not correct. You look at the customer, their psychographic information. What are their beliefs? What do they value? What kind of things do they base their behaviors off, their decisions off? What are the firmographics, the technographics? And what we mean by that is the baseline fundamentals, basic contact info, Paul Banks, CEO of Javelin Content, mobile phone number, direct phone number, office phone number, email phone number. What technologies do you use? Where do you sit? Where does your company headquarter itself at? Are there any major events that have happened? Have you been acquired? Have you recently received funding? Have you recently had a lawsuit? Are you hiring? Are you firing? Whatever the case may be, there's a number of different criteria and attributes that go into the profile of the individual as well as the company that you are trying to engage with. And once you have that avatar and you're able to clearly see it, and there may be 2 or 3. The problem with a lot of people is they feel everybody is their customer. Okay, and I'll jump on that point. But once you have those 1, 2, or 3 people, you know who to speak to, you know the message that resonates with them because you've researched and developed that message accordingly, and you start to build the experience and the learnings on how the conversations will go. Okay? The mistake where this guy is on his race to the bottom right now, our first disagreement was building data and how to build data. What is the process for building data? We get data, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. And I said, okay, so first of all, before you go down that path, how are you buying data right now based on what criteria? There's 5,000 companies in Denmark. I'm going to buy all the data in Denmark. Question for you. What do you think about that? If somebody said, I want to focus on Denmark, basically every company in Denmark is my customer, what would you say?
Are you just setting your money on fire? You're just setting your money on how can you
Carry on, tell me more.
how can you possibly hope to tailor a message to every single industry in the country? Like, how can you
Mate,
know what
the
all their
geezer-
challenges are? How can you have the time to articulate it? And by the time you figure out all of that stuff and try to get round to messaging 5,000 companies individually, their information is going to be out of date. Everybody is going to change jobs because that 3 years later. Like,
This guy is
fun.
trying to do it literally this year. It's fucking nuts. December 17th, there's a regulation by the EU that every company has to have a whistleblower screening system in their company. Otherwise, the consequence is to be fined. So this, like I said, this is the first blow up. And I said, look, on what criteria are you basing this on? He said, that's a stupid question. We ended up having a 3-hour conversation about this. And the golden nuggets in this was, I think your entire process is wrong because you need to base it off of this first. You need to find out who the customer is, maybe find out what industries are buying in the highest volume, which job titles are most engaged with these conversations when they start. Start with those, build your narrative, and then you can kind of go out and branch out into every other industry. You can start testing other job titles and you can start exploring other messaging. Did not want to fucking hear it. Did not want to hear it at all. So we start off on the 4-week race until I was finished. And it was about get more data. Now listen to this. I told him what the criteria is to go and find the job titles, the companies, the industries that are paying the money and who are becoming your customers. This guy has data that the team has been using for the past year. Some of the contacts have been called 20 to 30 times over and over and over again. And they still won't change the data. You know what they do? The way they change the data is they recycle it, delete all the notes, and then act like the reps are fucking idiots and expect them to call them. And then the company is saying, hey, didn't you guys change your name like last month? Why are you calling me again? I've already told you guys 15 to 20 times we have a solution. And this guy still believes he needs to go call him.
Yeah.
Right? Another race to the bottom. Go on, say something, and then I'll say the race to the bottom one.
So I got up one day last week and again, another inbound message to me going, I love what you do. Love the strategy that you guys have at Javelin. You're very different. What's the metrics that you will live and die by if we employ you? Meaning how many leads are you going to bring me? And like, if you listen to the show, you hear me bang on about this all the time, right? But like, it's a serious conversation. And I'm still like, I only started in February with this business, right? Like, I'm still quite young in the journey. And I've talked about this with everyone who I speak to is adamant that I've took the high path, I've took the right path. It's not a journey to the bottom. But again, I got up that morning to that message. And I rang my buddy, like Phil, who's like my marketing agency buddy, he's 3 years down the line from where I am, right? He started back in March 2020 in COVID when I started my old job. I helped him a bit. He now kind of helps, advise me on marketing side of things. And I rang him and I was like, Phil, like, I'm not wrong, am I? Like, I could double or treble my revenue tomorrow if I promise these things to these people. But what we actually do
100%.
is build brand. We build brand. I don't drive leads. If you were to get a website built, you don't go to the website designer and go, right, I want these pages here, here, and here. How many leads are you going to drive me with this website before you build it? Like, what? Like, you don't build a website for that reason. You know that it helps build your brand and it helps drive awareness of you, gives you visibility, gives you credibility, helps the journey, helps the process. And you don't demand lead metrics from your website developer. It's the same thing with what we do. I'm producing interview-based content to help position you as an expert in what you do to further your conversations, to help educate your clients, your ideal clients, your audience, move that funnel down the path before they speak to you and make your funnel far more efficient. But I was like, but everybody I speak to just wants to know how many leads I'm going to generate them. And he was, and he backed up exactly what I just needed that confidence to like, I am doing the right thing here, right? I'm not shooting myself in the foot, because despite my beliefs, like, there's so many people asking that question that I started to doubt myself a bit. I was like, maybe I am just being stupid. Maybe I should just take a slightly easier path. And he was like, no, Paul, all you're going to do is in 3 months' time, you will churn those customers, because you'll not be delivering those metrics, because it takes 6 to 9 to 12 months to drive brand awareness, to build that for them. You've got to find the right partnerships. And it just reiterates to me that I'm still kind of tweaking my ICP and my partners to get there. And I think what we're building through Ideas Exchange is going to transform some of that. But it just brings home to me that it is tempting, so tempting, to do what these businesses are doing themselves, in going for the easy path. Like, I've run out of options. I've not built before I've needed it. How do I get results quickly now, because now I'm desperate? It's so tempting to go down that route and stop believing in yourself, give up on your morals, give up on the value that you drive, to go, all right, well, I could get that turnover tomorrow if I wanted, because I just have to tell them this. They'll believe me for now. And in 3 months' time, my reputation will be in tatters. And I refuse to go that route. But I know
mate,
that
it's fucking
so
ridiculous.
many other businesses in that place. So many other.
Oh yeah, so look, so again, some more learnings for people that are watching this, and the purpose of this, I do want people to actually understand that these are mistakes that businesses are actively making, and these are people who are apparently board members, private equity owners, partners, CROs, CEOs, VPs of corporate affairs. These are people that are actively making these mistakes. So on that point, I just want leads. Okay. Same thing for this company. They have never, ever broken 1 million Danish kroner in revenue on a monthly basis. The highest they've done is 753,000, which is about 75K, right? Second year of business, 75K was the highest they've done. I don't think they've ever broken past an average of about 300 to 400K, which is about 30 to 40K. The average is about 20 to 25. And this guy says, we need to hit 1 million in revenue in the month. 1 million in revenue in the month. That's never been done. Bear in mind, the previous team that helped him hit that revenue number of 753 Danish kroner was an outsourced team of professionals, professional phoners, professional business development managers that he fired. They also were the team that, as he fired them, they gave him a commission incentive. You close all these, we'll give you extra commission. The month before they left, that's where that 753 came from. They got the commission, drew the pipeline, and fucked off. Okay? So now this guy's scrambling to build revenue. The reason he's scrambling to build revenue is because he is trying to show his investors a story of success. Little does he know, his entire team are inflating his numbers because they don't want the pressure. Salespeople are just as smart as the business owners. I was one of them. They are inflating that pipeline so he is off their fucking back. They are lying about numbers so he is off their back. When they get to the end of the month, pipeline manages to disappear, or in his words, somebody stole the pipeline, which is, I don't know how the fuck you can steal pipeline. All they did was cleared up the shitty pipeline and moved it over a couple of months, right? Being clear end of the summer. So again, on the point of him saying, we need to hit this. This is a Michael Jordan month. We need to hit this. We are in the third quarter. They are on like 200K, which is like 20K. They have 800,000 to go with a team of 26. 23 of them are amateur, undertrained, inexperienced reps that have no experience in the field. The top 3 scorers, the top 3 bookers, the top 3 generators, they're 60 plus years old. They've been doing this for 40 years. Okay. So he's got a massive hope and dream. And the thing that he wants or believes he wants is meetings. Why are we not getting any meetings? Why are we not getting it? Well, if you knew who your fucking customer was, first of all, you'd get more meetings. Second of all, you're asking for meetings and the meetings is not the metric, right? So the leads to the meetings is not the metric. This is what the point is. It's the conversations and the relationships that you build. And then moving on from there, there's a huge thing where this guy's getting meetings. The volume is starting to pick up, but those meetings aren't going past the first stage. And we did some analysis on this, right? We did some analysis on why are the meetings going. There's always a reason. You analyze the data and then you're able to figure out a problem or a solution to that problem or a solution to that issue. We analyze the data. We see 26 people, right? These are people internally that know this too. You see 26 people, and out of those 26 people, 23 of them do not get past the first stage. The 3 people that are 60 and above, they are getting past the first stage, and they are 10xing the performance of the entire squad. All right. Now, if they're 10xing the performance of the entire squad, there's a reason for that. Why do you think the team, and it's going to do with process, but why do you think the team of 23 or the group of 23 are not getting past the first meeting?
If I was going to take a wild guess, I'd say it's something along the lines of they have no script in place when dealing with clients to make sure that they nail all the boxes to qualify them and to move them through the funnel. They have no idea what the USPs are that they're trying to sell or how to convey those USPs, how to unlock the challenges that the people they're speaking to have. Am I close?
You are spot on, right? That's one of a few reasons, actually. You're spot on because they don't have the script. They don't have a structured framework or a proven framework to take a person from, I am curious. Remember, outbound is about building curiosity to interest, then to moving them forward into a decision or even evaluating it. They don't have that framework. They don't have that process. And their impression of selling is, hey, got this solution, think you need it, want to book a meeting? Yeah, no problem. And on the first meeting, they fucking dump them with a 1-hour PowerPoint presentation with no questions.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It is fucking atrocious. And this was coming from the CEO. Then the investor had the audacity to say, I could do it better. And then just did the same exact presentation to the team. The team starts asking me, what was the point of him doing that presentation when he doesn't even sell? It was the most pointless hour of our lives. When he hears this, he's going to fucking love it. Little does he know, this is the feedback that he gets. So the point is this, right? And then we're going to wrap up, and this will be part 1. And then part 2 will cover the rest of the journey with that company and what companies, business owners, reps, consultants can learn and hopefully not make the same mistake as me. Their problem, like I said, was they were brain dumping them. They didn't understand the importance of helping your customer solve a problem. Hey, do you want a meeting? Here's my product, features and benefits galore. And then they say, you need to make a decision and you need to have your CEO on the next call. And you need to have everybody else who is involved in this decision. And that's where we are going to bring our team and we are going to bring you on board. And then after that, then we'll onboard you. 23 people are thinking that ship every fucking day, right? Every fucking day. Now, the 3 people that are successful and are developing and generating 10 times the revenue as the other group, they are 60-year-old people. They book a meeting with the individual. They share a short Loom video. Remember Andrew Booz? They share a short Loom video on what the product is. It's a 5-minute video. And then they host a discovery session to find out where the pain points are, what they're struggling with their whistleblower solution, how they can help them, and what are the customers experience as a result of working with them. What are the successes these companies experience when they are a valued customer? And then they send them a proposal, and then they have a call with them, and then they close the deal. This company didn't have the know-how or they weren't open enough to listen to somebody who's been doing this for 7 years, effectively hitting and crushing my number. I have bank accounts and all the evidence to show it, right? They didn't want to take advice of somebody who was younger than them. I would be God's honest truth, browner than them. And in addition to that, they didn't think they were wrong. They didn't think they needed to learn something new. And because of this, half of their team has now been let go. Little do they know, a large majority of that team is going to be leaving in the next few weeks. As a management company, the way they are driving incentives and driving behavior and performance is, you are working as a contractor for me for 7.5 hours. You have a half an hour lunch. In the summer, we are not going to pay you. If you do want to work, we'll pay you half and give you more commissions. But we want you to be a valued employee and love this company. And you pick up that type of mentality because you think you know what you're doing. You've exited a business and you think the same concepts, principles, ideas, values, techniques are going to help you achieve what you need to in this business. You don't listen to your employees. You treat your people like shit. That is how you start your race to the bottom. I've made some of those mistakes. Openly, honestly, vulnerably, I've made some of those mistakes. But I do know that your people are your biggest asset. Developing them are your biggest asset. If they are not the right people, that's a different story. You get rid of them, no hard feelings. But the race to the bottom is from people being naive and not open-minded enough to take advice from those who know better or those who have walked the walk.
All right.
So,
well, let's put a pin in that there, Shane, because I know you've got more thoughts on this. And people, if you're listening along, Shane likes to fucking talk. So let's be honest, like, if you're not bored to see us already, I'm pleased for you. Let's hope we can stick with us for another episode. We'll be back next week with some more of this like bullshit that Shane's spouting. But seriously, like, we said this from the beginning, right? This is real lessons from real people who are going through real shit right now. And we want to hear from you, or give us a subscribe, drop us an email. If this resonates with what you're going through, we want to hear about it. We want to know what your experiences have been. Drop us a comment to the show. If you don't want to do it publicly, that's absolutely fine. Love to pick it up with you offline. Paul at redline-podcast.com or Shane at the same. Happy to have a chat with people. We'd love to hear feedback on what we're talking about, whether when you think it reflects the show or not. If you're the guy that Shane's talking about, you're probably definitely going to be in touch. Shane's lawyers will.
I want him on the show. I want him on the show, and let's have a dispute on the fucking show. Let's do it. I'm ready for it. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see, like, it'd be different type of concept to have some conflict. Again, nothing is perfect. We don't want to jazz anything up like everything's perfect. Real life happens. Arguments do happen. Disputes happen. But again, the main thing is that you pick your head up, you put one foot in front of the other, and you keep fucking moving.
Absolutely. All right. Till next week. See you later.